Hello my friends, welcome back to some more business revision at Joe Bailey Revision. Today we're going to be looking at topic 1.4, which is all about making the business effective. So the options for startup and small businesses. So this is all about what businesses they can become. So a sole trader. So a sole trader is a business owned by one person. It's the most common form of business in the UK. The fact that it's owned by one person leads to a lot of advantages. So for example, they have total control, so can make any decisions without anyone shouting them down within the business. Also, all profits are kept by them. So once they've paid all their expenses and costs, all the money is theirs. And also another advantage is that it's local, meaning there's a community of customers, which is often reliable because you can build relationships with your customers and then they'll keep coming back, which is good. Customer loyalty. Also, advantages, it's cheap and easy to set up as a sole trader because there's not that much legal stuff around it because it's just you. And also, business affairs are private, meaning competitors lack knowledge. So bigger businesses have to publish their profits and stuff, but a sole trader doesn't. And sales. So next, let's look at disadvantages of a sole trader. So one big disadvantage is they lack economies of scale. So basically, an economy of scale is where your business is big, so you can buy things in bulk, and then the fact that you're selling them at higher means you're getting more profit from it. Because you're buying in bulk, you're buying things cheaper, and smaller businesses like sole traders can't do that. Also, questions of continuity, so people aren't entirely sure who takes over, and that could lead to conflict of a sole trader as there's only one person. Also, banks are less likely to lend large sums to these sole traders because they aren't entirely sure they're going to make a lot of money. It's a very risky business for them, lending money. Also, another disadvantage is that they have unlimited liability, which means that the owner is liable for all debt within the business. So because of this, even if they run out of money, they'll still try and get money off of them. So this could lead to things like personal assets being taken, and it can really ruin someone's life. This advantage of unlimited liability also applies to partnerships, but just to a lesser extent. So next, let's look at partnerships while we're on about it. So partnerships are a group of 2 or more owners who decide to set up a business. So this is usually between 2 and 20. So they write down a deed of partnership, which lays out the laws. So it shows who's going to put how much money in, how much money is everyone going to get out as a percentage, and how much say does someone have within the business, how many votes on something do they have. So advantages of partnerships, because there's more people in it, there's more skills and ideas coming from them. There's more money and resources coming from them. And also, there's more credibility, so things like banks will take them a lot more seriously. Also, there's less risk, because, as we were talking about unlimited liability, in this, the debt is spread between all of the people in the business, instead of just one person, meaning it's a lot easier. And also, let's look at the other disadvantages of partnerships. So, sharing profits. The profits have to be shared, not necessarily equally, but to the amount given in or agreed upon in the business between everyone there. Also, there's less control individually, meaning because everyone gets a say in the business because they're all a part of it. Also, arguments are a disadvantage due to the lesser control. And there can be arguments over business direction and also workload of the people running it, because certain people might do more than others and not get as much pay and that sort of thing. So let's move on to franchises. Franchises, it's basically where a big business allows someone to set up using their name. An example of this would be McDonald's. So an advantage of a franchise is that the person running the franchise always gets support. The franchisee always gets support from the franchisor, which is a person who up higher up in the company, and they look after staff training and marketing. Also, another advantage is less investments needed because you don't have all the extra things to pay for. You just pay for the franchise and everything's given to you. Also, there's less risk as the product has already been proven in the market. And also, it tends to be a national brand, so it's something everyone's already heard of, so they will already know, oh, I'll go there and buy it because it's the place I like. Another thing is the disadvantages of it. So royalty payments are basically monthly profit percentage taken that's given to the franchisor for the fact that they've been allowed it. That's why it's so profitable for the franchise. Also, it's less flexible, meaning that few decisions are given to the person who's actually running the franchise, the franchisee, because certain products are set. So like they'll sell a certain product in every store. You can't change it. You can't always invent a new one. Also, employment's set. So they'll tell you, oh, we want a person employed to do this sometimes, and you won't get a decision on whether you want to employ new people or not. Also, adverts are set, because adverts are normally done on a wider scale, like potentially a national scale, so only people higher up will have a say in that. Next, let's look at our next type of company. So this is a private limited company. So a private limited company is basically, it's owned by shareholders who each own a share, and they'll all owe dividends after a certain amount of time. So they are all paid depending on how much they put in, how much of a share they have. And a private limited company, let's look at some advantages. So advantages are the fact that the company gains a lot of investment from shares, which allows it to grow quickly. So it helps it become a big company. Also, unlike the other two we've looked at, it has limited liability. This means that the business is considered a separate legal body than the people in it. So that means that when the business is sued, all the money goes out of the business. If any more money is needed, they don't get it, which means that it's a lot less risky, basically. Disadvantages. So there's no stock exchange. Because it's a private limited company, they can't put things on there. A public limited company would be able to, but we're not looking at that today. So another disadvantage is the accounts aren't private, which contrasts to what we've written over here, so the competitors can get knowledge. Also, it's complex to establish a private limited company. This basically means there are a lot of rules and a lot of regulations to go through. You've got to sign off a lot of paperwork to be able to set one of these up. So next, we've got an entire completely different section. So next we've got factors affecting choice of business location. So let's start off with communications. So communications is all about what transport facilities are near, such as roads, railway links with trains, and air, which is your airplanes. So it's important if the business delivers or imports or exports, because distribution can cost a lot. If it's in a remote area, you're having the thing. You want to be close to enough for deliveries and close enough to ways out of the country if you're receiving goods from abroad. And next we're going to look at labour, which is you want to locate near potential workers so people won't have to spend so long to get to work, so they'll be more productive, and also so you get them to work there in the first place. So you want to be locating near workers who have the correct skills for the type of jobs you're offering, and also people who want to work for the correct wages, because that's why there are so many companies setting up factories in poorer countries so they can charge people not that much for their hard work, which makes some sense, I guess, even though it's ethical and that. So next, let's look at market. So this is all about how close you are to customers, and that, because the thing is, the customers lead to your sales. You need customers to get sales. So in particular, being close to potential customers, you want to be close to your target market, because your target market is the people who you're going to be selling most of your product to. So if you're close to them, you get more people going there, you get more sales, you get more profit. Next, there's suppliers. And the closer you are to suppliers means there's lesser cost of delivery. This applies more to manufacturing businesses, as other businesses who just buy things and sell them don't really need to rely that much on suppliers. So next, there's government assistance. So sometimes government grants and loans are given if you say you'll build a business in a certain area, because there are areas that need development and places called assisted areas where they want to make more business because there isn't much business going on. Okay, so we are back. What's next? The marketing mix, the 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. So let's start off with product. So a product can be a physical product or a service. It's basically something that satisfies the customer's needs. So there are 3 elements to a product. It is a tangible element, core benefits, and augmental benefits. So first we'll look at the tangible element. So it's what the product is. So it's like what it's made of and what it looks like. It's what's physically there for them. And then the core benefits is the product's main function and what it does and how well it does what it does. So like a washing machine cleans clothes, but how clean does it clean clothes? You know, that sort of thing. Augmented benefits even are extra elements which add perceived value. It's like the idea of added value. Yeah, you get a product, you get water, you put it in a bottle, it's worth a lot more. It's where they think there's extra things because it's worth extra because there's extra features. But also this can be intangible because you can add things like insurance or a nice brand name on there which will make them willing to pay more. This extra perceived value. So let's move along now. Let's go on to price. So price. The product's sale price. It's heavily influenced by what customers are willing to pay. It's also influenced by how much the business is willing to give it away for. Those two things come together to make us the price. So price is often based on volume and margin. And this is if you have a high volume, so if you have a high amount of products, you normally have a low profit margin, which means you're not making as much profit per product because you're selling loads of products. So these are often when you buy things cheap, you sell things cheap, you sell loads out, and you end up making a good profit. But the other thing is low volume, high margin, and that's like your quality products, so you're putting them together for cheap and you're selling them for a higher price, much higher price, which means you're still making a good profit, just in a different way. So one type of pricing is penetration pricing. This is basically when you have a new product and it's cheaper than the competition, and you sell it for cheaper than the competition, so people buy your product again and try it, and then if they try it, you're going to try and get them to keep buying it, even if the price changes when the price of the other one does. So yeah, it's kind of making people interested in the product. So next, let's look at place. Technically, with place, we've already talked about it a lot when we talked about location. So in this, I'm going to narrow it down to talking about physical stores and e-tailing, which is no stores when it's no physical stores. So physical stores, advantages of physical stores. The physical stores attract a lot of customers. There are no distribution costs because you're not sending anything out to anyone if you've just got a physical store. There's personal interaction, which can create customer loyalty, and you can do customer research when there's people coming in. See what they buy, see what they do. I'm pretty sure we talked about that last episode, or maybe the one before. Right then, where were we? E-tailing. E-tailing is when you have no physical stores. There's advantages to it are that there's no store costs because you don't have any physical stores. You might have some sort of storage, but there's no actual stores. Also, there's worldwide access, so people can get on your website from anywhere in the world, and that can really help your business grow quicker than it would if you'd have to, put up a store everywhere. That could take years, where this would take not so long. So yeah, we're done. That was topic 1.4, making the business effective. I might do topic 1.5 sometime soon. I might do some other stuff, so stay tuned. That was fun. Okay, goodbye. Joe Bailey Revision.